Crack open a can of grape soda and take a sip. You already know exactly what it tastes like before it touches your tongue. That thick, syrupy, almost cartoonishly purple flavor. Now go to the grocery store, buy a bag of real grapes and eat one. It tastes nothing like that soda, not even close. For decades, people have joked that grape flavor was invented by a scientist who had literally never tasted a grape. Food bloggers have written about it. Comedians have made jokes about it. But here is the twist nobody expects. That flavor is not fake. It is not made up. It is modeled after a real grape. You have just probably never eaten it in your entire life. And once you know which grape it is, you will never look at a bottle of grape soda the same way again. Here is the strange part about grape flavor that makes it different from almost every other candy flavor in your pantry. Banana flavor is famously wrong because it is based on a variety of banana that basically went extinct decades ago. That is a well-known story, but grape flavor is not based on an extinct grape. It is based on a grape that is still growing in backyards and vineyards across America today. You have just been trained your whole life to think of a completely different grape when someone says the word grape. So the real question is not why does grape soda taste fake? The real question is, how did an entire country lose touch with the actual fruit its favorite flavor is named after? To answer that, we have to go back to a failed gold beater in Massachusetts who accidentally created an American icon in his own backyard. In the 1840s, a man named Ephraim Wales Bull was living in the town of Concord, Massachusetts. The same small town where Ralph Waldo Emerson and Nathaniel Hawthorne were his neighbors. Bull was not a chemist, and he was not a farmer by trade. He had spent years in a grueling profession called gold beating, pounding gold into paper thin sheets for a living. A job that paid the bills but bored him. His real passion, the thing he poured his spare time and spare money into, was his garden. And in that garden, Bull spent years experimenting, cross-breeding wild American grapevines, trying to create something hardy enough to survive New England winters, but sweet enough to actually enjoy eating. In 1849, after planting roughly 22,000 seedlings and testing them one by one, he finally found the one. He named it after his hometown, the Concord grape. Here is what almost nobody realizes about the Concord grape. It does not taste anything like the grapes most of us buy at the grocery store today. It is intensely sweet, deeply musky, almost floral, with a flavor so bold it practically punches you in the face. And for the next 100 years, this was the grape, not a grape Americans ate. The grape. It became the backbone of Welch's grape juice, the standard for grape jam and jelly, and eventually, without anyone fully realizing it, the blueprint for an entire flavor category that would outlive the fruit's own popularity. By the late 1800s, soda fountains across America were racing to invent new flavors. Cherry, orange, and lemon were relatively easy to fake convincingly. Grape was the problem child. Chemists tried wine extracts, they tried grape skins, they tried every trick available, and nothing tasted quite right. Then, almost by accident, scientists working with orange blossom extract isolated a compound called methylenthranilate, pronounced methylenthranilate, and they noticed something strange. It smelled unmistakably, powerfully like grape. It was cheap to produce, it was stable, and it worked. By 1906, a pharmacist in Georgia had launched a soda called New Grape. In 1914, a company in Alabama launched Grape. Grape soda was not just another flavor anymore. It was becoming one of the best-selling soft drink categories in the entire country. But here is where the story gets genuinely dramatic. In 1906, the U.S. government passed the Pure Food and Drug Act. And federal regulators at the Bureau of Chemistry started aggressively investigating companies for fraud, going after anyone claiming their product contained real fruit when it actually contained cheap synthetic flavoring made from coal byproducts. Grape soda companies were squarely in the crosshairs. Regulators assumed methylenthranilate was purely artificial, a laboratory trick with zero connection to actual fruit. And then in the 1920s, while trying to build their fraud cases, chemists ran tests on real Concord grape juice to prove it contained no methylenthranilate at all. The results came back and it must have stopped them cold. Methylenthranilate was not just present in Concord grapes, it was abundant. The fake grape flavor that companies had been synthesizing in laboratories for 20 years turned out to be chemically identical to a compound found naturally, in large quantities, inside a real popular American grape. The fraud case regulators thought they did not hold up the way they expected. Meanwhile, the grape soda wars kept heating up. Grape launched in Arkansas in 1939 and made a genuinely bold decision for the era. It used real, concentrated grape juice instead of pure synthetic flavoring, and it became one of the most successful sodas of its time. By the Great Depression, grape-flavored soft drinks were not a niche curiosity anymore. They were the best-selling flavored sodas in the entire United States, spawning brands that are still around in some form today. Grape, New Grape, Nehai. An entire generation of Americans grew up associating the color purple with one very specific, very intense taste. And that taste was real. It was just modeled after a grape most people today have never actually held in their hand. So what changed? Why does that flavor feel so disconnected from reality now? After World War II, America's grape-eating habits quietly transformed. Table grapes. The seedless red and green varieties grown at massive scale in California and later imported from Chile became the dominant grape found in grocery stores nationwide. These are a completely different species from the Concord grape. Botanically, they are Vitis vinifera, pronounced Vitis Roman 6 nifera, the Old World European wine grape family. Concord grapes belong to a different American species entirely called Vitis labrusca, pronounced Vitis labrusca. And critically, Vitis vinifera grapes do not naturally contain meaningful amounts of methylantranolate. The candy and soda industry never updated their formula. Why would they? The flavor already worked, consumers already loved it, and changing it would have been commercial suicide. So while the grapes on supermarket shelves quietly shifted to a mild, crisp, almost neutral-tasting variety, the flavor in your candy and soda stayed frozen in time. A chemical fossil of a fruit America mostly stopped eating. That is the real answer to the mystery. Grape soda does not taste like a lie, it tastes like a memory. A flavor faithfully preserved from the 1800s, still exactly true to its source, while the fruit itself quietly changed identity underneath it. And there is one more twist that makes this even stranger. Travel outside the United States, and grape flavor as you know it barely exists. In the UK and much of Europe, the equivalent purple candy flavor is not grape at all. It is blackcurrant. Bite into a purple Skittle in London, and you will get blackcurrant, not that thick Concord punch Americans grew up on. It is not that one country got flavor right and the other got it wrong. It is that two different cultures built their entire idea of what purple is supposed to taste like around two completely different fruits, and neither one is fake. If you want proof this whole story is true, here is a challenge. Track down an actual Concord grape at a farmer's market this fall when they are briefly in season and taste one. It will genuinely stop you in your tracks, because you will immediately recognize the flavor, not because it tastes like a grape, because it tastes exactly like the soda. If a flavor you have been drinking your whole life turned out to be a 100-year-old fossil hiding in plain sight, imagine what else in your kitchen has a story like this. That is exactly what this channel is built around. So if this kind of thing fascinates you as much as it fascinates me, hit subscribe, because there is a lot more of this coming. So the next time somebody tells you grape soda does not taste like real grapes, you can tell them the truth. It tastes exactly like a real grape. Just one that stopped showing up in grocery stores decades ago, quietly replaced by something milder, while the flavor industry never got the memo. And honestly, never had a reason to. What other fake flavor do you think is secretly telling the truth? Let me know in the comments. I might just make that the next video. Ye catney word kai script ha.